Hi, this is Catherine, and this is Taking Tea with Catherine. This is China Rose Black Tea. Rose teas tend to help me with headaches, little headaches, and I have a little headache now, and we don't want to talk about that too much, but just thought I'd mention it because... And I'm using my Freddie Mercury mug because I'm acknowledging the fact that April is the anniversary, probably 28 years since I discovered Queen for myself. Freddie Mercury had died a few months earlier, and I knew about it, but I didn't really know who he was. I just knew that a rock star had died of AIDS. And then I started really listening to Queen for myself in April of 92, and I was a teenager, and it just became a full-on obsession. And it's never really completely let up, honestly. Hence the mugs and stuff, you know? But it's a good combo. So, yeah, I'm doing the April TBR now, and one of the things I'm sort of focusing on is time, or marking time, because I know most of us who have been indoors for a good chunk of March have maybe lost a little bit of track of time, and that's fine because, most of us are guided by our schedules, and I don't know about you, but I have been having a slightly difficult time getting myself scheduled and in a routine because it's just, you don't really know what's going on, what's going to happen next week, a month from now, etc. So it's like you want to make plans, but you don't really know if you're planning correctly. So what I thought I'd do is, I already have a bunch of books I'm in the middle of right now, or just started, so this is piling a lot more on top of it, and I'm fine with that because, as you guys know if you've seen my TBRs, I never read everything on my TBR for a month, and I definitely don't finish everything on my TBR for a month. If I ever have, that would be a massive milestone, but I don't think I ever have. But it's more fun to just anticipate. These are the ones I plan on starting, and if I don't start all of them, that's fine. Just anticipation is the thing. And a lot of these reflect certain anniversaries or certain days, national this day, national this month, etc. Just very April-centric, if possible. Except for the first one. I don't know what month this museum opened, but I just thought I'd pick Rogues Gallery, The Secret History of the Moguls and the Money that make the Metropolitan Museum. The reason why I picked this one for this month is because I just really miss going to the museum. The Met Museum. As you guys know, I live in New York. I live in Queens, New York, but I work in Manhattan, and I don't work right next to the museum, but I also am not far. Like, in other words, if I wanted to, on the days that the museum is open late, which is, I think, Friday, actually, on the day, and I'm in the city, I could just go take a bus from my job straight up and walk up a block and be at the museum. And as a New York resident, I don't have to pay the full fee to get in. So I should really be appreciating it. But in the past couple of years, I haven't been going as often. And I really meant to rectify that this year. This time of year is when I start going back to Central Park a lot, and then I usually go through Central Park and then go to the museum and have a look around. And I don't know when I'm going to be able to do so because the museum is definitely not open. And that's sad. But I figure in the meantime I could read its history, and maybe not its best parts of its history, but that's fine with me. And if it's good, then it's good. It'll give me something to look forward to when the museum does open eventually. And on that note, I also thought one of the things... Oh, this has a price tag on it. I didn't see it. My eyes are bad today. I don't get to go out in nature at all right now. The closest I have to nature are my sad plants and my 2 cats, which is enough nature, really, if you count all their cat hairs. But and again, I live in New York, so I don't get as much nature anyway, but I usually have the ability to at least go, again, to Central Park and look at the ducks and look at the geese and look at the squirrels or whatever. There's like one squirrel out one of my windows that I see lately. So I thought I'd pick a naturey book, and this is The Dun Cow Rib, A Very Natural Childhood by John Lister Kay. I got this some months ago, and I've been meaning to pick it up, and I think it might be a nice, cheerful time to do so now. And then here's a book that I picked because of I've been meaning to read it. It's kind of like I've been trying to at least start one classic a month or every other month, maybe. And because I really did try to read more classics this year, as many people are trying this year, a lot of readers. And I had meant to read this anyway, but I keep seeing this book mentioned on BookTube a lot, and I said, well, maybe it's just time, and it looks not just springy, but it feels just cheerful, and something, again, I have no access to a garden, so how about The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Am I saying that right? So I think it's time to start this one, and because I'm not doing an Anne of Green Gables book, this could be kind of my substitute-ish, right? And it's such a pretty volume. I almost don't want to start it because I feel like I'm going to ruin it. Like I'm going to scratch up the pretty edges or whatever, but gotta get over it. This is because the libraries are closed, and so I thought I'd also like to read something about library. I like reading books about books, and I like history, even though this is quite current history. This is probably going to be one of the more depressing books, so if I start this, I have to just brace myself, but it is quite a pretty cover, as it were. Kind of sad, too, at the same time. That's Syria's Secret Library, Reading and Redemption in a Town Under Siege by Mike Thompson. So I bought this in Book Off. Not my cheapest of my Book Off purchases, so I really should start it just for that reason. And so we'll see if I actually get to it this month. Now, one of the anniversary things that I like to talk about is, well, not anniversary, just general Aprilness. April is national or international, I don't know, Poetry Month. So if it's National Poetry Month, but anyone else who wants to take part, doesn't matter. Enjoy. I mean, every month should be Poetry Month, but I find I've been really delinquent in. I used to write a lot. Not as much as I've never been super prolific, but I've always, for many years, I was a regular writer, not just blogger, but of poetry and other little essays, and I did write a novel once many years ago, but it was bad, very bad. But I always kept up with my poetry, and then the past year I've just been like, ugh. So I would like to be moved to not just read more poetry, because I do still read it, I just don't read it as much as I think I should be, if that makes sense. But I want to write it, so I want to be kind of surrounded by some encouragement. But this is more about, I think, about reading poetry, but that's okay. And it's also a slightly memoir-y book, which I like too. And that's Poetry Will Save Your Life. It is a memoir by Jill Bialowski. So, yeah, maybe that'll help me a little bit. I got this also in Book Off. This was $1. So yeah, and I also have been trying, I know it sounds weird, but like I always say, I want to read the full price books first because, I paid all that money, I should, get to it. But I also kind of want to read all the ones I've been buying for $1 because otherwise they're just taking up space, right? I mean, my books are taking up space anyway, which I have no problem with, but anyway. So here's something that I don't think I'm going to read cover to cover. I just thought I would pick a book of poetry to read from. It doesn't mean I can't read from any other books of poetry, but I find that if I pick a book of poetry, say I have to read this whole thing in a month, I won't enjoy it as much because I feel like it's a chore, and poetry should be enjoyed little by little, like a nice cup of tea, slowly, or a nice glass of wine, or a really good meal, savored, not rushed through. And occasionally I have read a poetry book, back to back, like I did that with one of Sylvia Plath's books and became a little depressed, but they were good. So I just thought I'd pick this one just because it just sounded like fitting. The Poetry Pharmacy, Tried and True Prescriptions for the Heart, Mind, and Soul, William Sighart, particular books. I also like this volume, it's just so compact. The color red doesn't feel very Aprilish, but that's fine, let's see. He established National Poetry Day in 1994. I think that's in the UK. But I'm always my heart is always partially in the UK. But it has like poetry, like almost like prescription of poetry for every issue. So we have for anxiety, compulsive behavior, depression, psychological scarring, old age, glumness, purposelessness, need for reassurance. So I'm sure a lot of people are feeling a little bit of these things this month and will probably continue to feel so. So, why not? April is also Autism, I think it's Awareness Month. Some people want to call it Autism Acceptance Month. In other words, awareness sounds like a disease that we have to fight, whereas if you accept autism, you learn how to work with someone who is autistic instead of trying to cure them, because instead of treating it like something that needs to be, wiped out, instead accepting the person and the person that they are, as autistic. Anyway, so I thought I'd read something in conjunction with that, and that's The Electricity of Every Living Thing by Catherine May. Maybe I should be reading this in May. No. But it says One Woman's Walk with Asperger's, which I know that's not an expression that's used anymore professionally, and there's other reasons why, but that's just what the title is. That's what she was diagnosed with, so that's what she's going to probably use in this book. And it's about a woman who comes to terms with her diagnosis, and I think along the way she's taking a long walk. So I love crazy long walks. I like this kind of story, and it's a Catherine, so yay. Okay. Also, it's also, as you guys probably know, Shakespeare is a big deal in April for a lot of people because, well, not everyone knows this, but everybody knows the day he died, and I hope I'm being correct right now because I think my brain is a little off, but I think it's the 23rd of April. I think it coincides with like St. George's Day or something, I don't know, in England, but they think that he might have also been born that day, so that's a super Shakespeare day. So I do try to do something Shakespeare related every April, and I know that September is when people do ShakeTube, which is when people read Shakespeare in that month, and that's fine. I could probably do that in September as well, but that's far off from now, and I'm not going to read an actual Shakespeare play this month, although I may try to watch something on TV, because I don't mind reading Shakespeare, but I kind of prefer watching it performed, because that's how Shakespeare wrote it to be performed, so that's how I usually am with plays. But anyway, so this is a book that I'm not beginning. I'm up to page 39. Okay, I didn't get very far. I bought this in Oxford, England in 2016, because that's when I was in Oxford. And I've been reading a little bit of it at a time. And it's the kind of book you can do that with, so I thought I'd pick it up again and read whatever I want to from this book. I don't know if I'll finish it. I probably won't. But it's called Shakespeare and Me. And it's edited by Susanna Carson, but it's great writers, actors, and directors on what the bard means to them and us. So it's basically not short stories, but like short memoirs almost. And it's just what it says. So you don't have to read this cover to cover to still get it. So you can read a little bit at a time. So I figured I read a couple of chapters. I did my thing for Shakespeare. Right? Okay, and let's see, the last anniversary is a Catherine personal anniversary again. Also April, as you guys know, April was when I got into Queen, but it is also a year later, the month my family adopted our first cat. My parents both had dogs growing up, or later growing up, I think, because both of them, the dogs died within a few years of each other. Doesn't matter. Apparently my dad's family, they had a cat when he was quite young named T, which I found out years later, and I was like, you had a cat named T, and how did I not know this? But my personal family, we adopted our first cat, and his name was Cinnamon. He was a big orange and white cat. He had flaming orange hair, with a kind of like, not tuxedo because that's black, but like the tuxedo-ish thing with a little bit of a white here and here, I think, and here, and he was a big long cat, and he was very heavy, quite a cat butt. After we got him, I became just absolutely obsessed with cats, and I just started reading books about cats, especially like cozy cat mysteries, The Cat Who, and I can't remember the other books. The ones that were out when I was in the 90s. So it was a big deal for me to become a cat person. I mean, I don't know if I became a cat person in April, but it kicked it off, really. Because before that, I always wanted a dog, but I realize now, knowing myself and how I am, that even though I would still like to have a dog, I think I'm still always going to be more of a cat person. And that's fine. So, in conjunction with that, I am reading The Catmen of Gotham, Tales of Feline Friendships in Old New York by Peggy Gavan. So, I had already intended to read more New Yorkish books when I got back from London, but I didn't go to London, so I never came back from London, as it were. Either way, by this point I would be back, so I had planned to just start reading more New York books, because I figured I'll be home, maybe a little sad to be home, but also maybe I'll just read a little bit in my own city. It's kind of messed up now, because I figured then I'd be able to go out and explore parts of my city with all that, but right now I can't. But still, I can still read. And so this is a book about cats and New York and its history. It's a good combination for me. So I hope I can start this month. I bought this in a storybook shop last year. And I miss a storybook shop too. Hopefully they'll be okay as well. But not stressing it. Speaking of stress, so here's a book that I started in January, made a little progress and then left off. But my book club is thinking about using this for their next book club read. So I thought maybe I can pick it up again. And it is a good book, and it's probably a good time to read this anyway, because I think everyone's getting a little bit in need of therapy. So maybe you should talk to someone by Lori Gottlieb. It is a good book. I had hit, one of my walls when I was reading it, but I think I can get past it. So I think I'm going to pick this up again. And look, valuable tissue paper. So valuable. You know what? I actually when I went out this week and did go to pick up a prescription, I went to the drugstore had toilet paper. It's not that hard to find. It's just you have to be patient. That's all. Let's not talk about that. One last thing I really would like to start, and I didn't put any other mysteries here because I feel like I've done a lot in March of mystery reading, and I wouldn't mind picking up another Agatha Christie, but I'm still in the middle of Five Little Pigs, which is good. So I don't feel like I'm going to stick a whole bunch of... If I decide sometime in April I just really want to curl up with a mystery, then I can always do that. You guys know that this is not a hard and fast TBR. Nevertheless, I looked at the first paragraph of this book and thought, this is really good. I had picked this for March Mystery Madness, but I didn't get any farther, so I hope to get back to Brat Farrar by Josephine Tey, because I like her, and this book just looks good. It's a country house type of mystery, apparently. I don't know much about it, so I'm not going to go into it, but it's a classic mystery novel, so I'll tell you more about it if I finish it and do a TM mystery. So I hope the suspense is not killing you. So those are the books that I hope to start, maybe make some progress in, among the 10 or so other books that I'm currently reading. I have, my entire thing isn't to get frustrated if I'm not reading as much as I'd like to, because sometimes I end up reading a good amount in one day, and another day I just don't feel like it. And we just have to really enjoy ourselves and not get overwhelmed by what we're doing and what we're not doing. So if I read a few of these books in April, that's fine. If I only pick up one, that's fine. If I read all of them, that's also fine. And I hope you guys feel the same way. I hope you guys are still planning TBRs and having fun with that, because it's always fun to plan TBRs. I mean, unless you just don't enjoy it. But if that's your regular thing to do TBRs, I hope you're still doing it. I hope that, I know it's harder for those who don't have access to libraries and bookshops right now, and I know, thankfully, there are still e-readers, and I know I'm not a big fan of those, but if I were in a spot right now where I didn't have all these books to choose from, I would pick e-readers. I would take my e-reader, which I still have one, and I would download a bunch of books to read, because even though it's not my favorite medium, it's still reading. So let me know down below if you have read any of these books, if you have anything good or not so great to say about them. Any of them that you think that I really, really, really need to start this month or else. And if you guys have any plans, I'll be looking for your TBRs if you're a booktuber. And if not, you can always write down below what you would like to read. So this has been Catherine with Taking Tea with Catherine. Have a lovely tea, book, happy fill day. Bye.